What's up, YouTube? Erod212 here, and I'm back with another episode of the Back 9. Today, we're going to cover best underrated Spider-Man villains. Before I start, though, I want to give a shout out to Ben C from CBSI. Appreciate you letting me do this, and also my man Phil Lee from Vintage Comics and Toys for setting all of this up and doing such a wonderful job. With everything that's just happened with the Spider-Man movie being released, and if you haven't seen it, there'll be no spoilers here, but it's a must-see. That's all I'm going to say. It is definitely a movie that you have to see. But it just makes you think, what direction are they going to go? Can they introduce new characters? You and I both know that Marvel has a tendency of introducing smaller characters, smaller villains, introducing them into movies that we didn't even expect, and those books kind of pop on us. So today's list is going to be some undervalued villains that, not saying they're going to pop up, but they're good spec books to get. All right, so let's start off with the first one. All right, so Jack Cornblatt says, I'm going to go with Screwball. Despite being easily the most annoying Spider-Man character of all time, there's a certain bit of charm. Her obsession with social media makes her a really easy source of comedy for a TV show or a movie. A plotline based around social networks will feel right at home in a high school-centered show like the upcoming Spider-Man freshman year. Screwball has not existed very long, but made consistent appearances in comics since her debut and was a big part of the side quests of the PS4 Spider-Man game. Her key issues are still cheap, and so I see nothing but upside for this incredibly lovable and awful character. I like that pick. I'm not familiar because I had stopped reading Spider-Man at this point, but I'm going to have to take a look at Screwball. But like he says, anything that has to do with social media and everything, I mean, that's the way the world operates now. This is what we're doing right here. And the next pick we're going to go with Jason's pick. So I like Jason's pick a lot. He says, I'll take ASM 565, the first Anna Kravinoff. Not too far stretched that a new female Kraven could show up sooner rather than later in the Sony Spider-Verse. Both First and Grim Hunt are pretty cool stories too. Not sure why they haven't seen much of her since. And you know, the Marvel does that. They'll sometimes develop a character, give them a couple of story arcs, it takes off, and all of a sudden that person gets put to the back burner until another writer comes along and sees something that he could take a twist on it, a la what they did with Venom and what they did with Immortal Hulk. Both of those story arcs were really, Donny Cates and Aaron, they killed it. Just good stuff. You got no out of all of that stuff. You got a lot of things that were just sitting in back burners and turned into good stories. Peter Renner says, I'll go with Molten Man, Amazing Spider-Man number 28. He got a raw deal in Far From Home. He's Liz Allen's stepbrother, and he has a decent backstory. Will the Molten Man make another appearance? Probably not. Did he get a raw deal? He should have been done way better than just the way they did that in Homecoming. I mean, that was Far From Home. That was pretty bad, cheesy. They just used the Molten Man name, and that's about all they did for him, But I thought that character could have been done better. This book here, incredibly tough to get in high grade. It's completely black. You're talking a book from like 1965 or something like that. Tough book to get in high grade. All right, so the foreign comic guru is going to go with Web of Spider-Man number 36. Tombstone is one of the most known hitmen in the Marvel Universe. He has a long history with the Sinister Six teams and has often teamed up with other villains. Would love to see him in live action. Tombstone was also in the Spider-Man animated series, so that could carry over into live action. And it's not that hard a character to portray, with some fake prosthetic stuff and everything else. Be pretty cool. Good B-list character, one of those characters that can show up as being a crony or working for someone like Wilson Fisk. It could happen. This is a good pick. I like this pick a lot. Now, our boy Ben Stein, he's going to go with Amazing Spider-Man number 397. Kind of a cool futuristic AI type of character. I think she translates well for today's CGI effects on the screen. This is that whole era where they were just throwing stuff at the wall. Marvel has a tendency of doing that sometimes. And this is a character that could possibly stick, especially, you've seen characters that were nothing at one time, and then another writer, again, like I was just talking about before, another writer comes along and puts his twist on it and makes it gold. Could this be one of them? Could be. Let's see. Let's see what the future holds for this character. Now, my man Mighty Mel V is going to go with Amazing Spider-Man 792. He says, symbiote characters are still popular. When this symbiote bonds with Lee Price, they become a very formidable foe, and it took the likes of Spider-Man, Agent Venom, Black Cat, and Venom to take him down. Really cool looking symbiote character. I like that pick. That's a good pick. And anybody that has the power to handle Venom, Black Cat, Spider-Man, and Agent Venom, that's a strong character. So besides that, that's that whole Dan Slott run, but that's a good cover right there. I really like that cover a lot. Valiant's going to go with the Amazing Spider-Man number 30, Volume 2. That's that iconic J. Scott Campbell cover right there. He is often overlooked but important to Spider-Man's story. Morlun is one of the strongest vampires in Marvel Comics. He was an extremely tough villain to defeat. With so much horror specs popping, this is a good one. And again, Morlun's been rumored for a while. This book went from a book that people used to buy just because it was J. Scott Campbell art to becoming it's kind of a semi-key with the first appearance of a villain that was fleshed out and became a really good villain, and a lot of speculation. As he said, with the horror spec, nobody knows which way Marvel is going to go. You want the Blade route? Are you going to bring in Dracula somewhere along the line? What else are we doing? I know they're casting... they're doing a Werewolf by Night series, a one-shot. So, which way are they going? We don't know. So pick up all the modern and all the horrors that you can at affordable prices. That's what I do. All right, and Jack Kornblatt goes, for my second pick, I'm going to go with the Amazing Spider-Man 18HU. This is one of the single greatest ASM issues of all time. Wow. This isn't a first appearance, but an origin story of the Gibbon. Here we are treated to a gut-wrenching origin story of the Gibbon that fleshes out the character more than 5 decades of previous continuity ever did. The central thesis of this issue is the same as the back 9 list. What happens to all those bottom-tier villains that we never talk about? In the case of the Gibbon, the answer is a Shakespearean tragedy about a man who, much like Spider-Man, only wants to do good in the world, but is beset by tragedy and ridicule at every turn. It's never a bad idea to invest in good stories, and this issue most definitely fits the bill. A good story can overtake crappy art every day of the week, and a good story translates into movies. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, look what Jim Starlin did, and all of the stuff that Jim Starlin created that has either translated into a movie or is being translated into a movie. That's a prime example of that stuff. Good pick. Another one, I have not read it and adding to the read list. Now, my man Phil is going to go with Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 19. And he says, Alistair Smythe's first is in this book. B.J. Novak played him in Andrew Garfield's last Spider-Man movie, and we never got the third film. With reason. With the Kingpin coming into play, you would think he would be one of the biggest assets casted. Not only a brilliant scientist that makes weapons for Kingpin, but also a professor who could possibly fill a role when the Spidey characters move on to college. And that's what Marvel is talking about right now, moving on to the college years and bringing new villains. And everybody's guessing at what the villains are, trying to guess based on the era. I think the MCU, they could do whatever they want, and it won't be based on the era. It'll be based on the story arc and how they write that story. So I could take somebody from, a Vulture or something like that. That's already a show, but you understand what I'm saying? And bring him to a modern story and just write it well, So those are the cast picks. Make sure you go on to CBSI's website. I'm going to leave a link in the description because there's going to be that honorable mention, which is always fire. And you know what? Let's talk about my pick right now. So I'm going to go with this. Amazing Spider-Man number 253. And this is the first appearance of the Rose. So with the recent introduction of Kingpin into the MCU, I think ASM 253 is something to look at. It is the first appearance of the Rose, an underworld character who tries to take down the Kingpin's criminal empire. It is later revealed that the Rose's true identity is that of Richard Fisk, the son of Wilson and Vanessa Fisk. Richard Fisk's first appearance is Amazing Spider-Man 83, for anybody who is interested in getting that as a first appearance. I think I said it all there with that. Just also, this story arc carried over for quite a while. You get the Rose in 253, but you go into like the 280s before it's revealed that he's even Richard Fisk. And then it has ties to the Hobgoblin, and it has ties to two Hobgoblins, because you get Kingsley and you get Ned Leeds, both involved in this. So interesting story arc, and just, I think, a good pick. You never know. Again, a B-list character that could possibly show up as a crony or an antagonist to possibly the Kingpin with everything that's going on with the Kingpin. But that's the video for now. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think. And I'm going to leave a link for, as I said, for CBSI's website. And if you enjoyed this, then take a look at this episode of the Back Nine, because this was a great episode. And if you thought that one was good, check this one out also.